Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
It's a story we've seen before. A Detroit fire truck involved in a crash.
Injury accident involving engine.
But the fallout of one that happened today on the city's west side is raising even more concerns.
And we've learned the firefighter behind the wheel at the time of that crash is on unpaid leave tonight. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Ty Steele.
I'm Kimberly Gill. That fire crew was on its way to a call this afternoon when it crashed at West Chicago and Dexter. Pictures show the front end smashed and a window burst out. Victor Williams is live tonight after speaking with a fire commissioner. Victor, was anyone hurt in the crash?
Yes, Kimberly, actually the firefighter involved was hurt along with another person. The good news is that everyone is expected to be okay, but the top priority at this point now is trying to figure out what went wrong to begin with.
The fire department, we want to respond in the quickest, safest manner possible. And, there are times that we do get in accidents, but for the most part, our drivers are very experienced. They're very careful.
Executive Fire Commissioner Charles Sims with the Detroit Fire Department calls the accident that happened on Wednesday morning near Chicago and Dexter something that wouldn't normally happen.
We respond to over 400 emergency calls per day. And so just looking at the percentages there, it doesn't happen that often.
While accidents involving Detroit fire trucks are down by 20% compared to last year, in this situation, it's the driver of the engine and a passenger of another vehicle that are injured.
From my understanding, there were bruises and scrapes to the knee and elbow area of the female.
Now investigators are working to get to the bottom of what factors led to the crash.
We don't know yet. It's still under investigation. I don't want to presume anything until I get all the facts.
The firefighter behind the wheel has been placed on unpaid leave. That's pending the outcome of the investigation when all the facts are gathered.
Once we get the facts, then we'll respond appropriately.
Now, we know that woman was taken to the hospital, but she is expected to be released soon. Victor Williams, Local 4.
And we know you'll stay on top of this and bring us any updates as they come in, Victor. Thank you.
We have an update tonight on a story we first shared with you Monday at 11. A Detroit high school student faces imminent deportation after ICE denied his stay of removal. Michael Duarte was just 3 credits away from graduating from Western High when he was pulled over on his way to a field trip. Local police called Customs and Border Protection, and they quickly detained him. His lawyers confirm he was indeed here illegally. The situation has sparked a huge outpouring of support from the Detroit Schools Community District. Many spoke out in his favor at last night's board meeting.
I ask you again to use your public service role and privileged influence to make a statement of support for Michael. An invitation to not look away, to not ignore one of our sons.
State Senators Mary Cavanaugh, Rosemary Bayer, Sylvia Santana, and Stephanie Chang released this joint statement also calling for the release of Michael. And they said, in part, quote, "We must remember that behind every number there are real human beings impacted, not just the individuals detained or deported, but also their families as well as their community." Michael's detention is happening right in the middle of nationwide protests against immigration enforcement. Protesters gathered outside the McNamara Federal Building to make their voices heard. These demonstrations come after reports of immigrants being detained right after court hearings. People told us they don't want ICE agents anywhere near their communities.
We have 3 teams, Migra Watch. We have a team just patrolling the neighborhood, raising awareness when we clock ICE, conducting a detention or a raid. We make sure to let everybody in the community know this is happening and where it's happening so that they can avoid the area.
The White House argues undocumented immigrants broke the law by entering the U.S. illegally, but demonstrators believe ICE should not target people who are otherwise law-abiding.
The parents of the Oxford High School shooter will not be getting new trials. That's the decision made today by Oakland County Judge Cheryl Matthews. James and Jennifer were hoping for another trial, a new trial, after they were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for their part in the 2021 mass shooting. Judge Matthews made her decision after hearing arguments about what the defense called improper proffer agreements between the prosecutor's office and the 2 school employees. The attorneys argue that these agreements should have been disclosed beforehand. Matthews agreed there was a discovery violation, but she felt that didn't justify new trials. We spoke to criminal lawyer Neil Rockhind about this ruling. He says even though this news is out, this case is probably not over yet.
The defense is going to continue to bang the drum that the whole trial, that the proceedings were unfair, that they shouldn't have been charged, that this was improper to begin with. They're going to go to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals.
Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald told Local 4 in a statement, quote, "It is time to turn our attention away from the Crumbleys and refocus on the Oxford victims. The bottom line is both James and Jennifer Crumbly were convicted by juries of their peers after receiving a fair trial. Today's ruling has reopened old wounds for the families of Hannah St. Juliana, Tate Meir, Madison Baldwin, and Justin Schilling. Their parents have been fighting for accountability ever since that shooting happened." Now, things got tense last night at the school board meeting. That's when Steve St. Juliana spoke out against the $500,000 settlement offered for his daughter's death. He says he was given less than 20 hours to think about and accept that offer, and he was not happy about it.
That's how little that you value our children. I am not going to stop striving for the changes necessary to save our kids. I'm just not. So you can shove your offer.
We did reach out directly to see Steve St. Juliana to see if he had anything to add to his comments that he made last night. He told us, quote, "Today I received a phone call from the Oxford School Board president indicating that the majority of the board wanted to express their sorrow and anger for the way the offer was made and that they had no prior knowledge of it."
A new set of bills in the Michigan State Senate aims to boost protections for renters. Senate Bills 19 and 20 would mandate landlords to adhere to strict repair deadlines. If maintenance is ignored, tenants could withhold rent or deduct repair costs. Hazardous issues would need to be fixed within 48 hours, mold and pests within 72 hours, and other repairs within 1 week. The bills are now heading to the full Senate floor for consideration. There's a lot of reaction tonight after General Motors announced it's investing $4 billion over the next few years to boost U.S. manufacturing. This investment means expanded production at several plants right here in the state of Michigan. We had a chance to chat with Dr. Jeff Reitmer. He's a supply chain management professor at Wayne State, and he mentioned this move could push other domestic automakers to follow suit.
You will probably see something like that from Stellantis and from Ford. Ford is in a unique position because they already assemble most of their vehicles here in the United States. They do have capacity at some of the other plants, Flat Rock, Kansas City, and so forth. So bringing some of that back would not be a real stretch for them.
More domestic production is something the UAW strongly supports. The union's president, Shawn Fain, had this to say about GM's plans. He told us in part, quote, "Auto companies can easily bring good union jobs back to the U.S. They can prove the naysayers wrong by investing in our communities and putting workers before corporate greed. GM is showing that it can be done."
The Small Business Administration is stepping up for northern Michigan after that massive ice storm. The SBA is offering low-interest loans to help people and businesses get back on their feet. 7 counties are eligible, including Sheboygan, Charlevoix, Emmett, and Mackinac. The SBA will establish disaster loan outreach centers in the impacted areas for one-on-one assistance if needed. Loan applications will also be available online or by mail. And that relief up north comes as President Trump plans to phase out FEMA after this year's hurricane season. He says he wants to bring FEMA down to the state level and let governors handle it. He also says the federal government will start distributing less federal aid for disaster recovery moving forward. The move has some emergency managers concerned, as some states lack the resources for major disasters.
4,065 days. That's how long it's been since the Flint water crisis began. And even after more than 10 years, there's still been no restitution for those affected by the tainted water. But that could be changing soon. People involved in the more than $600 million settlement from the state might see payments coming in the next few months. That's what the special master overseeing the settlement process has said. Dr. Mona Hanna, who helped discover the lead in the water, is hoping these payments can finally help families start to heal.
I think of the crisis almost like an open wound, and without having closure, without having that justice, that wound stays open and you don't have healing.
There are about 29,000 claims in this settlement, and a whopping 80% of those involved children who were impacted by the crisis.
Wayne State University is reissuing paychecks to staff members affected by a phishing scam. The scheme compromised direct deposit details, causing missed paychecks. The university is suspending self-service for direct deposit changes. Now all changes must be made in person at the payroll office with a valid ID. Employees are urged to avoid clicking on suspicious email links and to report phishing attempts immediately. If you've been affected, change your password and contact the help desk.